during recent general elections. It's the 9th day of February 2025, a day left to the official school opening of Term 1 on the Ugandan school calendar. And that will be beginning tomorrow on the 10th of February. Welcome to the show. It's Good Morning Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. I am with Joan Murunji. Today, Robert is not with us, a little unwell, but definitely hoping that he'll be with us tomorrow. Good morning, Joan.
Good morning, Julie, and a very good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome back from the weekend. We hope you had a fantastic one and you are beginning your Monday with a strong cup of coffee. At that, Uganda coffee, because it is in our nature. We are here to take you throughout the weekend until Friday, when we're giving you the latest in business and also in current affairs. Now, there is something I've noticed over the weekend, Julie, and it's triggering my mind. The crime rate when it comes to homicides, apparently, you know, from the TikToker who was killed, and then there is a lady who was robbed of over 25 million. That was in, I'm forgetting the place, but in broad daylight. She tried to sound an alarm, and bypassers were just looking on. They couldn't help, because I know fear for their lives. So these thieves were holding machetes, all pangas. And then in Lunguja, still at a hotel, a certain hotel, an askari was killed, and a manager. And it makes me ponder what is happening currently.
Indeed.
Because the rates of homicides are increasing. And according to the Police Crime Annual Report of 2024, more than 4,000 homicide cases were recorded nationwide last year, the other year, 2025. And that was averaging to over about 12 killings per day in Uganda, and the victims were killed through various means, including poisoning, domestic violence, shooting, arson, mob justice, and so forth. And the death toll total to over 4,329 deaths that were reported. And the current status, it's a bit worrying me.
I agree with you. It's a bit worrying.
Because by the time someone approaches a hotel with a security guard and kills 2 people, and there was also theft of a motor vehicle, that was a Harrier, UBS something, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what we must do as citizens.
I know, and even as the police releases these reports, I know one thing for sure: in this month, the police report, Uganda police report, should be released for the year 2025. As the police releases these reports, what are the solutions to reduce on the numbers? What are the solutions that are displayed to citizens as first-hand solutions, what you would call first aid, if it were, but using it as a metaphor? What are the solutions that Ugandans can equip themselves with as the police comes in to add to the safety or the prevention or the rescue of the situation? It's really there, and I do agree with you. Many stories on ground, as well as on my way to work as well. One of our colleagues was also, you know, just making mention of the fact that the mother's home was broken into, you know, by cutting the window. So you can imagine how someone gets the guts to cut a whole window, the time they needed, and the person they were trying to steal from was also in the house.
I can imagine the trauma they're going through. And what is the citizen supposed to be in this time? Because if you sound an alarm, and even because once you're attacked, you may not really be in the right senses to decide to call police. And at times, maybe you don't even have your OC police station number. Because when I watched this video, the lady was in her car. She was, the glasses, the windscreens were broken, and she was pulled out and hit with a machete. So she had to run away. The thieves, in just under like at most 3 minutes. So at times, if she was coming from the bank, does the information link?
Some of them watch you
as you're going to the bank.
Yes. For example, let me use an example of say around Equity and Centenary Bank, I think that area, that Kampala
here
Road.
in town.
Yeah, here in town. You can tell that they are border stages. So it's very possible, highly possible, someone has watched you walk into that ATM or bank and probably has been surveying that there's a high chance you're carrying a lot of money. Yeah, and they probably follow you, or so we need high vigilance even on ourselves.
And I'm told,
primarily
Julie,
on ourselves.
some people are talking about when you go to the bank, the askari asks you, how much are you withdrawing?
Ah.
Like, yes, like what are you going to do? You're going to, how much are you withdrawing?
Oh, I think I've experienced that with ATMs being faulty. And there are ATMs that have particular limitations. Different ATMs have particular limitations.
Yeah, for withdrawing.
Yes, so many times that security guard is helping you to know which ATM you can withdraw from based on the limitation, the amount you can. Many a times I've experienced it from that regard, but I'm also not sure if it's indeed
no, as you're walking
enough.
through the bank, you're entering, maybe you have a backpack, like how much are you, what are you doing? I'm withdrawing, how much? Why must you then ask? So some people usually direct you, you can go to this one, you can go to that one is faulty, don't use it. I've seen it at the bank I use, my service provider. But on a high note, indeed, the security situation in Uganda for now it seems worrying. I don't need the fact that it's raining. It's a rainy season, so it's really worrying. And I hope the security agencies and those responsible for Uganda's security up the game so that Ugandans ultimately enjoy their nation as best as possible with all the peace that we've already enjoyed along the years, all through the years, and continue to enjoy. Well, Joan, what do we have on the local scene? Beginning off with our local stories, President Yoweri Museveni commended the children of the late Reverend Eliasaph Serada for honoring his legacy by constructing a church in his memory, which was inaugurated on Sunday in Kashari Town Council, Mbarara District. President recalls Reverend Serada as a courageous individual who defied negative African traditions and served God and ensured the education of his children, like the head Investors Protection Unit, Colonel Edith Nakalema Asizoa. This was during the memorial service of Reverend Eliasaph Serada at Kanyegenyeje village in Kashari Town Council, Mbara City. The memorial service, organized by the family, led by the senior army officer and anti-corruption advocate, Colonel Edith Nakalema. The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Right Reverend Stephen Kazimba Mogaro, commended Reverend Serada for being committed to the service of God. He encouraged Ugandans to desist from preaching hatred, but urged the populace to embrace love. The chairman, Reverend Serada Foundation Professor Justice Adru Kauka, says it was befitting to construct a church in Reverend Serada's memory. Those who offered the land for the construction of the church says they did so for the love of God. The event attracted several top government officials, members of parliament, army generals, senior police officers, and Kashari residents. Moving on, over the years, Ugandan and China communities have hosted a temple fair-style celebration in Kampala ahead of the Lunar New Year, featuring Chinese folk art, lion dances, martial arts performances, Chinese cuisine, and cultural exchanges. On Sunday, members of the Chinese community in Uganda, government officials, and business leaders gathered at Millennium Grounds, Lugogo, to celebrate the Spring Festival Temple Fair. The colorful event, dubbed Taste of China Spring Festival Temple Fair, featured Chinese cuisine and cultural exhibitions, traditional performances, interactive cultural experiences, showcasing China's rich heritage. China Ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency Zhang Lizuhong, praised the strong and cordial relations between Uganda and China. Vice President retired Major Jessica Alupo was the chief guest. She said Uganda has benefited from China's support through scholarships, science and technology cooperation, and investment. VP Alupo highlighted the recent launch of Ugandan coffee and aquaculture exports to China. Alupo officially launched the China-Uganda Year of People-to-People exchanges, wishing the Chinese community a prosperous new year. 2026, a year of the fire horse and spring festival events are worldwide, and typical elements of temple fairs in Uganda include lion and dragon dance performances and Chinese folk music. Forging forward, the State Minister for Works and Transport, Musa Ichwero, led a team of engineers from the ministry to Katonga Bridge to assess work progress. The tour commenced at the 5-kilometer swamp section connecting Kalungu and Gomba districts. The project at this section is being handled by Irodo Construction Company, a local contractor. Here the bridge had collapsed, cutting off access between Bugomola sub-county in Kalungu and Chifampa in Gomba district. Travelers used engine boats to cross the flooded section. Area residents say the situation has greatly affected their daily lives. Minister Ichwero assured residents that the roadworks will be completed within 5 months, and a temporary diversion is currently being worked upon to ease movement. The minister dismissed all allegations regarding delayed funding of the project, emphasizing that the project is fully funded by the government of Uganda. Minister Ichwero says the bridge will be ready for use by April this year, with the official handover to government expected in October. The contract manager and managing director of Rodo Construction, Engineer Albert Oleja and Robert Wanimbi, pledged to deliver the project within the agreed timeline. Now, the Katonga Upper Stream Bridge project is estimated to cost 63 billion shillings. Meanwhile, after inspecting the upper stream works, the minister proceeded to the Katonga Lower Stream Bridge along the Kampala-Masaka Highway, a project being implemented by CCCC, a Chinese construction company. As we conclude our local stories, the Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, Balaam Balugahara, has said President Museveni performed very well in the 15th January 2026, scoring over 70% in Bunyoro sub-region. During a church service at St. Matthew's Cathedral in Masindi District, Balaam hailed the people of Bunyoro sub-region for supporting the president to protect the gains. During the service, the minister donated exercise books to school-going children to support their studies as schools set to reopen on 10th February 2026. Balaam pledged to sponsor the best 2 pupils, a boy and a girl, who will perform best in the 2026 PLE in the district up to the university. During the service, Reverend Lydia Kwesiga, the cathedral's dean, asked the minister to remind the president on the pledges he has been making before the people of Masindi, more especially the renovation of Kabarega Primary School, the Bishop's Car, among others. The minister promised to take the message to the president and have them fulfilled in an appropriate time. He also donated 50 bags of cement and other construction materials to support the completion of the cathedral. He also gave out over 20 wheelchairs to the church. Lydia appreciated the people of Bunyoro for protecting the gains, through voting President Museveni. Balugahara said work at Bunyoro University has already started. And then that brings us to the end of our local stories, and we are now going to the international scene.
Very true indeed. Thank you, John, for that. And starting off the international scene, a court in Hong Kong has sentenced pro-democracy media tycoon Jimmy Lai to 20 years in jail following his conviction under a sweeping national security law imposed by Beijing. A summary document by the court on Monday said 18 years of Lai's sentence should be served consecutively to the existing 5-year jail term in his fraud case. The 78-year-old founder of the now defunct Apple Daily has already spent more than 5 years behind bars and was found guilty in December on 2 counts of foreign collusion and 1 count of seditious publication. Given his age, the prison term could keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. Ahead of the sentencing, rights groups and Western governments called for Lai's release, with some denouncing the case as nothing but a charade. Lai's family, lawyer, supporters and former colleagues have warned that he could die in prison as he suffers from health conditions, including heart palpitations and high blood pressure. Before Lai left the courtroom, he looked serious, as some people in the public gallery cried. Now moving on to Portugal, Antonio José Seguro of the centre-left Socialist Party has secured a landslide victory and a 5-year term as Portugal's president in a runoff vote, beating his far-right anti-establishment rival, André Ventura, according to partial results. With 95% of votes counted, 63-year-old Seguro has garnered 66%. Ventura trailed at 34%, still likely to secure a much stronger result than the 22.8% his anti-immigration Chega party achieved in last year's general election. Ballots in large cities such as Lisbon and Porto are counted towards the end. 2 exit polls have placed Seguro in the 67 to 73% range and Ventura at 27 to 33%. A succession of storms in recent days has failed to deter voters, with turnout at about the same level as in the first round in January 18th. On January 18th, even though 3 municipal councils in southern and central Portugal had to postpone voting by a week due to floods. The postponement affected some 37,000 registered voters, or about 0.3% of the total, and is unlikely to influence the overall result. Portugal's presidency is a largely ceremonial role, but it holds some key powers, including the ability to dissolve parliament under certain circumstances. Ventura, who is 43 years, had trailed Seguro in opinion polls, had argued that the government's response to the fierce gales and floods was useless and called for the entire election to be postponed. It's amazing how other nations' voter turnout is
it's good.
Serious and good. Anyways, moving on to Africa, Ethiopia has called on neighboring Eritrea to withdraw its troops that it alleges are inside its territory. The demand was contained in a letter from Ethiopia's foreign minister to his Eritrean counterpart, which also accused Eritrea of outright aggression, saying it was conducting joint maneuvers with Ethiopian rebels in the north and supplying them with weapons. Eritrea has not yet commented on the accusation, but has previously denied its soldiers had crossed the 2 countries' common border. There has long been a history of tension between Ethiopia and Eritrea, which split off from its larger neighbor 3 decades ago, and there are fears of a renewed conflict. The countries fought a border war between 1998 to 2000, in which more than 100,000 people died. A peace deal was never fully implemented, and relations only eased after Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who later won the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts, traveled to the Eritrean capital, Asmara, in 2018. The two had been allies in Ethiopia's recent civil war when Eritrea supported its army against Tigrayan forces, but things have once again soured. And that brings us to the end of what we have on the foreign scene. Now let's have a look at what we have in the dailies. John, what are you starting with?
Of course, I'm beginning off with the new vision, and the big heading over there is 5,000 PDM circles accounts to be closed. Auditor General asks accounting officers to take action. 5,000. Okay. And
that's a good one.
Really?
It is, yes.
To close all those accounts?
For as long as they are incompetent and cheating Ugandans. Not inactive, cheating Ugandans. Let them close.
Interesting. And Tarehe Sita Mohozi, 41 other officers get medals. There is a picture for you beneath the new vision. And Uganda, Tanzania deepen relations. And about Harvest Money Expo, Pearl Bank to ease agriculture financing. And about the borders, transporters return from Dubai with e-mobility deals. And over 150 jobs for you in the new vision with Total Energies, URA, Chambogo University, and so forth. So grab yourself a copy of the new vision, and you have to have a deeper insight of what we've just given you a glimpse of.
Right. Now, looking at other dailies, we are heading to Tanzania with The Citizen, and the headline there is safety fears mount as electric vehicles remain unregistered. That's the headline in The Citizen. Looking at others, Kariakou reopens under presidential order for transparent toll allocation. Also, Samia Museveni talks signal a new era of selective integration. That is in The Citizen. Now, let's see. John, what does Kenya have?
Of course, I'm just getting interested with the pictorial, with the Daily Nation down there. Whoever is watching, you agree with me. A lot of Daily Nation front pages that have been put in the at the face of the Kenya's newspaper. And the heading there is, who cares? Budgeted graft. Officials say a third of the country's budget is looted. Now, is it that Kenyans have resigned themselves to fate, no longer care, or that grand corruption has simply become a way of life, given the muted reaction to multi-billion shilling graft exposes? Then while grid officials continue looting public offices, Kenyans bear the brunt of falling public systems. You have to see it there with the Daily Nation. And of course, I'm wondering the editor-in-chief, Eva.
Well, you must think about the Daily Nation and the Daily Monitor for having very interesting headlines at that. Well, now let's have a look at the Gazette as of the 6th of February 2026. Table of contents as always, but looking at some of the notices to pay heed to. Be it known that on the 24th day of October 2025, Galabozi Stephen, an advocate of the High Court, has been appointed to be a commissioner for oaths under the above-mentioned act for so long as he continues to practice as such advocate, and the commission is not revoked, given under the hand of the Chief Justice then, Alfonso Chigamoy Owenyidolo, as of the 24th day of October 2025. Also, be it known that on the 12th day of December 2025, Akankwatsa Helen, an advocate of the High Court, has been appointed to be a commissioner for oaths under the above-mentioned act for so long as she continues to practice as such advocate, and the commission is not revoked, given under the hand of the Chief Justice then, Alfonso Chigamoy Owenyidolo, as of the 12th day of December 2025. Also, be it known that on the 12th day of December 2025, Okunyi Innocent, an advocate of the High Court, has been appointed to be a commissioner for oaths under the above-mentioned act for so long as he continues to practice as such advocate, and the commission is not revoked, given under the hand of the Chief Justice then, Alfonso Chigamoy Owenyidolo, as of the 12th day of December 2025. And also, a place for celebration of marriage to be taken note of. The church is in Ntungamo Worship Center, Yesu Akwagala. Denomination Born Again. The village is Nyabubare, and the parish is Kahunga. Sub-county is in Western Division Municipality. The county is Ntungamo Municipality, and the district is in Ntungamo, given under the hand of the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Norbert Mao, as of the 30th day of January 2026. Now that brings us to the end of the dailies, but tell you what, John, tomorrow in matters sports, Man U is having a match with West Ham, and over the weekend, Man United fans did it different, held a mass in Karamoja for Man U.
Stop. What were they called? Oh,
and you can see our very own Zakia Lucky there, who was also part of the mass.
Julie, what was the mass about? For celebration?
Praying for Man U.
Appreciating the new coach?
You can see Manu Jazez in church attending mass, and tell you what, Zakia put up that tweet, rather that ex-post, and by last night it was on trending, number one. Okay. It took a lot of social media attention all over the world. You could see commentary coming in from countries like Nigeria, but also our very honorable former Speaker of Parliament, Kadaga, did comment on it, and it was rather interesting, very, very interesting on there. In fact, Honorable Kadaga commented, if I could get her comment.
But it is, I'm just wondering who came up with the idea, let's celebrate Mass. Because with the Catholic Church, you don't just wake up and like, you have to follow procedure.
Interesting.
But it looked beautiful.
One Nigerian did comment and said, I always think we are crazy Man United fans in West Africa. But you see these East African countries, they are even more crazy.
I agree.
And Honorable Aditwala Kadaga, Man U for better, for worse. Indeed, she's a supporter of Man U. But more of the sports update will be coming through and coming your way with Ruben later on in the show. For now, let's have a short break. When we get back, tomorrow is the opening day, official opening day for Term 1 here in Uganda. And the rest of the show pretty much has the different angles and direction and perceptions that you need to put your focus on, and your mind too, in regards to education in Uganda. And when we get back, it's one of the conversations we are having, John and I, but we're not having it alone. We have it, always have it with you. So 0709-602592 is the WhatsApp number you should save and be part of the conversation as we look at the matter of school dropouts in Uganda. Good morning. Stay tuned.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Needed, and the person they were trying to steal from was also in the Uganda. Welcome back from the weekend, one that started with the Tarehe Sita celebrations on Friday, where President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni praised security forces and also unveiled major infrastructure and economic plans. At the celebrations, President Museveni commended the Uganda People's Defense Forces and other security agencies for what he described as a robust performance in maintaining peace and stability during recent general elections. It's the 9th day of February 2025, a day left to the official school opening of Term 1 on the Ugandan school calendar. And that will be beginning tomorrow on the 10th of February. Welcome to the show. It's Good Morning Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. I am with Joan Murunji. Today, Robert is not with us, a little unwell, but definitely hoping that he'll be with us tomorrow. Good morning, John.
And good morning, Julie, and a very good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome back from the weekend. We hope you had a fantastic one and you are beginning your Monday with a strong cup of coffee. At that, Uganda coffee, because it is in our nature. We are here to take you throughout the weekend until Friday, when we're giving you the latest in business and also in current affairs. Now, there is something I've noticed over the weekend, Julie, and it's triggering my mind. The crime rate when it comes to homicides, apparently, you know, from the TikToker who was killed, and then there is a lady who was robbed of over 25 million. That was in, I'm forgetting the place, but in broad daylight. She tried to sound an alarm, and bypassers were just looking on. They couldn't help, because I know fear for their lives. So these thieves were holding machetes, all pangas. And then in Lunguja, still at a hotel, a certain hotel, an askari was killed, and a manager. And it makes me ponder what is happening currently.
Indeed.
Because the rates of homicides are increasing. And according to the Police Crime Annual Report of 2024, more than 4,000 homicide cases were recorded nationwide last year, the other year, 2025. And that was averaging to over about 12 killings per day in Uganda, and the victims were killed through various means, including poisoning, domestic violence, shooting, arson, mob justice and so forth, and the death toll total to over 4,329 deaths that were reported. And the current status, it's a bit worrying me.
I agree with you, it's a bit worrying.
Because by the time someone approaches a hotel with a security guard and kills 2 people, and there was also theft of a motor vehicle, that was a Harrier, UBS something, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what we must do as citizens.
I know, and even as the police releases these reports, I know one thing for sure in this month, the police report, Uganda police report, should be released for the year 2025. As the police releases these reports, what are the solutions to reduce on the numbers? What are the solutions that are displayed to citizens as first-hand solutions, what you would call first aid, if it were, but using it as a metaphor? What are the solutions that Ugandans can equip themselves with as the police comes in to add to the safety or the prevention or the rescue of the situation? It's really there, and I do agree with you. Many stories on ground as well as on my way to work as well. One of our colleagues was also, just making mention of the.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
My question is,
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning to you. In case you're just joining in and you've just switched on your TV set and switching it on to UBC TV, this is Good Morning Uganda, and thank you so much for choosing UBC TV this rainy Monday morning. You're welcome, and you're welcome to settle in, buckle up, and have a good time. One that is gold up to inspire you. Now, we're having a topic, of course, in regards to school dropouts. It's one that we're chewing on this morning, sharing our 2 cents alongside you. And if you're an expert in the field of education, it would be nice to hear from you as well, contributing to the show. But before we even delve into this, something is really chewing my mind, and I'm just going to share it. These are my views, completely my views, as the Ugandan street lingo has it: if I die, I die.
Come what may.
Come what may, if I die, I die. But let me just spew it and let it out there. The song that has just played, and this is my personal view, just as Julie F. Nantaba. when you say God is my birthday, it's very impossible. Reason is God the Father can never be your body, cheap guy, cheap blood, because that's how you relate with your body. You can't relate with God like that. He's a higher realm. He's great. He's almighty. You don't relate with, yet he says he's our friend. And indeed it's the truth, because he writes it in his word and he says, I am your friend. Because every parent deserves to be a friend to their child, but not your body. There has to be a boundary in how you approach God. You approach God as God, your Father, God Almighty, not your body. Those are my views, please, not the views of UBC TV. But moving on, let's look at the high school dropout rate in Uganda. High school, not high school as in the level of school, but the high rate of school dropout rates in Uganda. Be part of the conversation, 0709-602592. Now, looking at the statistics, why we are looking at this is, number one, school, the first school term is reopening tomorrow. Many are joining new school levels from nursery school to primary school, from primary school to high school. For those who are joining high school, it will be a little later than tomorrow, but many are being promoted to different classes from P1 to P2, from top class to P1, and are joining school. How many are staying in there? Are they joining the statistics? And what are these things constantly causing children, pupils, school-going age children to drop out from their school academics and head on to other adventures in life? Let's throw a light into that. Now, looking at some of the statistics, we do have approximately 45% of primary school children leave before completion. That is about, that is 45% for primary school and then 30% for high school. Roughly 1.13 million, 1.13 million learners drop out annually. That's a lot. And weekly, 21,894 pupils drop out, not students yet, only pupils. 21,894 pupils drop out of school weekly. Now, in Uganda, recent statistics indicate that the school dropout rate is notably high, particularly amongst girls. This report is by Joy for Children Uganda that I'm getting these statistics, and it, according to the UBOS 2021 report, approximately 28% of girls in rural areas drop out of school, often due to many factors that we are going to look at. I think, if you ask me, those statistics are really scary, and given that the new school term has started, we only hope and pray that they do not increase as to what they are now, but rather decrease. But John, let's begin chewing on this conversation and start with the causes. The numbers are there. What's causing this?
There are quite a lot of factors that lead to school dropouts, especially those who begin with primary one. You find that there are few pupils who are having their PLE examinations, and also those that are advancing to senior one. You find that the numbers are really low compared to those who sat for their examinations. There are quite a number of contributing factors to this. You know, we've been talking about school dropouts from primary, secondary, tertiary, and even at advanced levels like PhD. I've seen some researchers who have specialized in that, and I've looked at their journals, and when you compare to what most of the scholars have written, is almost where the same thing around Africa. But to be specific, in Uganda, of course, the number one, because one of the highest causes is poverty. You find that parents or the students or the pupils cannot afford scholastic materials, and they end up, you know, just doing away with school. And also some of them cannot even afford just the basic requirements or the bare minimum, like lunch or porridge. And you cannot really have a pupil or a student being taught on an empty stomach. They will not grasp whatever or understand or whatever the teacher is teaching them. So poverty, whereby the parents or guardians cannot afford to enroll the pupils or students into school, is a very big contributing factor to having school dropouts. In eastern Uganda, where the rate of poverty is relatively high compared to other regions of the country, you find that most of the girls there specifically have dropped out because of, and the boys, because of the parents not being able to afford their tuition or their school fees or even basic requirements. Someone has no pen, someone has no book. You find that the 4 subjects in primary, they are being done in one book. At the start is SST, in the middle there is science, integrated science, and then there is mathematics, and then English. And you know, it's just confusing. Once this book is used up, what are these students going to be using? Even just maybe the means to get to school. You find that some of these parents just do away with taking the children to school because they cannot afford the transport fare, which is also among the long distances being another factor as to why kids drop out. You know, most of the, if I'm basically looking at the rural side, some of these schools are a bit far away from where the pupils live. So you find that they have to trek these long distances to achieve education, so which is a bit tiring. And also some parents feel it is not really secure for the pupils to go to school with those long distances alone. And so they decide to just leave them to stay at home. Another one.
In fact, kindly allow me interject on there. You know, as you stated those factors, one of the rising points of notice that I took off was these causes could also be clustered. They could be grouped in line with regional factors. Like you've talked about the rural settings versus what would easily happen here in urban settings, but also gender disparities. Of
course, yeah. Because for the girls, you find that girls are at high risk to dropping out of school compared to the boys. And that is also a contributing factor under gender preferences, whereby you find most parents prefer sending the boy child to school, undermining the girl child. And even they are just, you find that one cause contributes to the other. They are all linked up, because when you find there is poverty, it ends up to long distances. Poverty can cause long distance can cause because there is no money. Children drop out because they cannot go to school, and then in the long run there is early marriages. And in that other factor, they decide to make preferences. So if there is poverty, should we send the girl or the boy? And like, oh, maybe let us send the boy. So poverty, long distances, early marriages. Especially in the rural settings. For the town settings, not really, but in the rural areas, early marriages contribute a lot to school dropouts because, like I said, these factors are interchangeable. You find that the dependent dependent variables and independent variables are intertwined. That they cannot, they really do not operate on different scales. You find that they are intertwined. So when there are early marriages, of course, children are going to drop out. If the parent is forcing this child to get married, of course, I doubt this man is going to take this child, the female child, the girl child back to school. I don't know if there are rampant cases of boys being forced to marry at tender ages in Uganda. But also, when it comes to the gender, for the girls, limited sanitary access to sanitary facilities. You know, in this period, for those societies where the boys have not been sensitized, or there is not much awareness about that period of the girl, you find that they stigmatize these girls, or it is really a challenge. And also some of the health challenges they face while on their period. For example, the cramps, the severe cramps, headaches, dizziness, all these, once they do not have access to sanitary welfare, that is for the requirements, the basic needs, and also maybe the medication, these girls tend to drop out within that period. And you find that if at all the month comes at the time where they're having exams, and she cannot go to school because of because of the limited access to sanitary health or sanitary towels, you find that they will drop out because you've not sat for your PLA since the 4 days. Some of them even spend a week. And currently, Julie, it's really amusing that most of these girls are having their period on tender ages like 9.
I think anyway, for a long time, as long as I've known that the periods start as early as that.
As 9, Julie?
Yes, mine came in my primary school, so for me it's not surprising.
Oh,
but now that we've looked at most of these causes, if you think about it, these factors are affecting the rural side. But let's look at the urban settings where you expect that facilities are available.
Yeah.
There's easy access infrastructure from home to school. It's quite easier, even if someone is not able to afford maybe fuel in their car, but at least they can afford a bit of transport via public means.
Yeah.
What are the urban settings, or rather, what are the causes of school dropouts in urban settings in your perspective?
For the urban settings, I think it would be poor grades. One that when a student or a pupil finds out that they're performing poorly, instead of being embarrassed at school, they decide to drop out. And also, this comes along with examination phobia. Since I'm performing poorly, you know, schools have a tendency of displaying marks on notice boards. And these students are subjected to knowing who has performed the least or worst, and also assemblies whereby they read the lower cadres and upper cadres. So some of them drop out because of poor grades and examination.
And I think the whole issue of streaming or in urban schools, streaming
according to the performance. There is A, B, C, D, or according this color
X,
is
Y,
performance.
Z.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so poor grades and examination phobia can lead to school dropouts in urban centers. Some in urban just don't like school.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, not even peer pressure, but like the attitude. They don't like it's apathy. Education apathy. They just don't feel like going to school. They're like, why must I go to school? They don't know why they should go to school. And when you talk about peer pressure, I think we can group that under indiscipline, whereby you find the children or the students or the pupils are suspended or expelled. And what leads to this? Activities that are brought about by peer pressure or live in the home, whereby parents do not even care. They're not involved in their children education. The home systems, low parental education. If the parent was not educated, but I'm working. And also there is this attitude, Julie, of you know, having some of the rich people who never really advanced in school and they're doing well. And you hear children giving examples. If so-and-so is having a lot of kids, is a billionaire in Kampala, and they only ended up in S2, they only ended up in P6.
Right.
What am I using education for?
Let's also, in that regard, also look at UPE. UPE is one of the programs, government programs, that has been put in place by the government to make sure that children in Uganda attend school as many as possible. But you'll still find that there are those who still drop out even at UPE.
Yes.
There are those who still drop out or fail to even attend lessons, yet it's ideally, as it's supposed to be, free education.
Yeah, there is a lot that comes with that, Julie. First of all, it could be even child labor. UPE is there, but at home, but the parents are subjecting, or even employers are subjecting these children to child labor.
Right.
And maybe, are there corporal punishments in UPE schools? Is it the reason that's why these children are dropping out? Or what is the environment of education like? The congestion, the crowding. Maybe students will be like, no, I cannot. And also, it's just, you know, a very big amalgamation of quite a number of factors that when you say crowding, there is also is the spread of diseases. Someone comes with cough. Haven't you heard stories of when kids are back to school, Amore is treating cough from parents? Because when you go to school, other parents do not treat their kids who are having maybe influenza or a cold, and you find that after even treating your child is infected again with those especially airborne diseases. So with UPE also it can be like I said, some poverty if the child cannot afford lunch.
Right.
And they're like, why should I go to school? Look at the situation, Julie, whereby I, for myself, my parent can afford lunch if I'm in P4. And maybe my neighbor, they cannot afford break. As I'm eating, what is this person thinking? what is this child having in their mind?
Indeed. We are looking at the issue of school dropouts in Uganda, the high rate of school dropouts in Uganda, and confronting that dilemma. Be part of the conversation as we chew on this one. And John, I'd like to implore you on the impact of the high rates of school dropouts, the impact that it has on Uganda. But also allow me speak into the issue of mindset. I think I've seen some of the cases of school dropouts with especially with UPE, with parents having a mindset that, okay, if I'm asked to bring maybe a ream of paper, a broom, and maybe pay for a uniform of say about 35,000, that's a lot of money. Yes, it could be a lot indeed, but you could find that you also find that parents who are complaining of such rates are actually working. They probably have a small stall of foodstuffs, vegetables. In other words, it's possible for this parent to sit down and plan that for every day, let me save 1,000. By end of day 30 of a month, I have 30,000, which could actually total up to 30,000 or a balance of 5K to buy that uniform. So I think even the issue of mindset, I don't know how government could help transform mindsets of parents, especially in rural areas, in line with educating their children and how best they can support as parents and support the program. But I think mindset is also a big issue that is affecting.
But Julie, still even in urban centers, you find that the child is done with P7 and the father is like, let him go learn mechanical engineering. Is it even engineering? Bamtwale mo garage.
Yet the father is able to get money for bottles of beer every day. Let's look at the impact of school dropouts in Uganda. The large impact it has on the country altogether.
Of course, on the country and the society, it is even on the individuals themselves, the children, it is a bit vast. But first of all, there is increased vulnerability to drug abuse. You're idle, you're doing nothing, you're not even educated, you're not to land. What comes next? Being idle, you end up with peer groups, bad peer groups, and then you end up being into a drug abuse or even a crime. By the way, Julie, have you noticed the so-called gullies, these chains of the youth that always, when police does its operations, especially in the night, most of the times the culprits are youth, young adults who are supposed to be school-going children.
True.
That is how they end up in crime, because they are not at school. They cannot access formal employment or good employment, and they resort to such behavior, even prostitution. And also, among the street children. That is how the society ends up with street children, because they're not going to school. And even when it comes to mindset, even when they enroll to school, they find that this street life is better. They end up going back to the streets. So being vulnerable to crime, like prostitution, theft, robbery is really, really rampant away with school dropouts in Uganda, which also poses health risks, because if you're practicing such stuff like prostitution because you're not going to school, there is a lot that comes with health in that department that I may not really be able to...
the increase of HIV and AIDS.
And STDs, you know, people are only worried about STDs. And of course, when you drop out, like I said, when it comes to the topic of school dropouts, most of these factors play against each other or with each other, because if there are STDs and everything, you have practicing prostitution or early marriage is what is going to be the result. Pregnancies of the society, and maybe that is when we find that there are also high rates of mother-to-child transmissions or neonatal deaths, whereby these people get pregnant but they cannot access, or they do not know even they're supposed to access health facilities to see them through their various pregnancy trimesters. And also the cycle of poverty will not end, because if the parent did not go to school, the child has refused, or you've not been taken to school, the cycle is going to keep on, revolving, and you find that even children end up into low-paying jobs because they didn't access education. You bear me witness, Julie. When you go for an interview or you find a job listed, there is nothing that we do not want qualified people. Right. They'll ask you for the experience, they'll ask you for your qualifications. And you find that they've really outlined the specific qualifications they need, the level of education, the minimum that an applicant should have.
Right.
So if you're not educated, you might know your chances of getting a good employment are really minimal. And of course, I talked about pregnancy and also this curtails development, because if you're pregnant, you've gotten married at an early age, I doubt your mind as a child, especially for the girl child, is really productive enough at that age, for example, maybe 13, to think about, let me get a side job or a side hustle to make sure I contribute to the country's GDP. These people are not even paying taxes because they have no businesses and they have no production, they're not productive, and all they are doing is being subjected to domestic labor. That is how people end up in being housemaids. Because if I say maybe house managers, people may not think it's a really fancy term and it's up there. But that is how we end up forcing our children at 10 years, 11 years. They are house girls, just in the layman's languages. And skilled labor, when someone drops out, we do not have skilled labor. We shall just have amateurs doing stuff. That is how you find out. I think it was last year around, if I'm not mistaken, around October, there were quack doctors that were arrested for felony and attempted murder because they operated on a pregnant woman, and the lady ended up dying because they never had the expertise. That is the unskilled labor that I'm talking about. And also, of course, there is inequality when it comes to backgrounds. Children who have not gone to school, like I said, the cycle of poverty continues. Right. That is when you find that some families are way well off and the others are really unprivileged. And you find that this is when the rich, the poor end up stealing from the rich.
That's true. That's true. And in just a nutshell, with what Joan has mentioned as the impact, a very big impacts at that on the country, looking at the economic consequences as she has shared them, looking at social and health issues as she has outlined them and broken them down, looking at the increased risk of behavior, bad behavior, which ultimately leads to high rates of insecurities in the country, and of course gender disparities in there, plus long-term social impacts that threaten social cohesion in Uganda. So that means that the issue of school dropouts is not one to underlook or look at as a minor issue. It's really one that is highly, highly, highly impacting and in the most negative manner on the well-being of the nation altogether. Looking at some of the solutions as we begin to roll this conversation out, government sensitization, like I mentioned, government sensitization is key to change mindsets, especially of parents, looking at starting from local council, village meetings, parish. Yes, parish, those meetings where you call village the residents to just have a meeting and call someone from the government, from the Ministry of Education, to just speak to parents, would-be parents, even the young people at that level, find them in their homes, in their home dwelling areas, and just speak to them about the importance and how best, or perhaps lay strategies, help them realize strategies of how to achieve an education even when they seemingly do not have the money, but how can they put resources together from different saving plans. But also looking at health and nutrition. It's very important for everyone in Uganda to be healthy and feed on nutritious diets, because ultimately it can easily affect someone and drop out of school. But also revamping on rehabilitation centers. I recently had a visit to Kampiringisa, and it's supposed to be a rehabilitation center for juvies, but from what I experienced there, I'm not so sure if it's still a rehabilitation center. It's just keeping those people there, but
they're not
really being rehabilitated. So whoever is responsible, by the way, for campaigning, I think you should. It's about time you woke up. It's about time, whether, I don't know, it must be Ministry of Gender. It's about time whoever is responsible for that docket in campaigning woke up, because it's not rehabilitating anyone, and it's killing Uganda at large. But also more rehabilitation centers for young people, to empower them, to restore them from any negative consequences they could have faced, so that at the end of the day, they are citizens of Uganda, adding value to their nation. That brings us to the end of this conversation. Up next is JMU Tourism Express. John will be coming back with business agenda. Absolutely. Is definitely also on your way, and sports will be coming through as well. So the day is still young, the morning is still young. At that, stay tuned. You are watching Good Morning Uganda, proudly brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo, clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned, or what we have stopped, is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Good morning. Once again, thank you for choosing UBC. My name is Zakia Lucky, and we are on Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express. We are just in the field of color and art. Bringing you is the class of fabric mosaic, which is going to be digested by Mr. Magezi. He's going to tell us what this process is like, and with me are Miss Tourism contestants that are getting to be skilled. Remember, pageantry is not all about catwalks. This is their space now and time to be skilled and see what they can get out from all this entire experience. You saw us go through pottery, and now it's time for art. Let's see what we can find there.
Thank you, Zakia. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Magezi Collins Timothy, a visual artist from Kabale, and today we are going to be doing fabric mosaic. We can call it fabric collage or fabric patchwork. So these are the pieces we're going to be working with today, and all we're going to do is to use what we have to create what we don't have. We have a few materials here of fabric. There is, they are here. Then also these ones, and we shall be differentiating them according to color and shades, so that we create in the contrast and everything. So we are going to get started. Literally, we are going to look for colors that match with the lion. There is something that is something like orange, something like yellow, you know. And we also have to add in the texture part of the drawing. So you can use fabrics that have some bit of rough texture. When you touch it, it feels a little bit rough. Those I think are going to go on the side of the men, so we can cut them big pieces, so that later we can trim to make it clean. Then we use the dark parts, the dark fabrics for these dark parts, somewhere around here, and also down here. Then we're also going to, for the parts of the eye, we shall have to cut these patterns, these round patterns, something like this, to cover up with a section of the eye. Then we are going to be using wood glue and paint brushes. We are going to use them for applying glue on the canvas so that it speeds up the process. So what we are going to do now, we first differentiate the colors. So you're going to cut the black fabrics, these ones. We don't need to put in plain colors. We just so that we add in texture, like the way you're seeing here. So for the start, we shall cut something that is more of triangular. Then we see if it fits there slightly. Now what you do, you paint around the area that you're going to put the fabric, so that you know, when you put, as I told you, the fabrics we are cutting, they have to be slightly bigger than the space, so that later we trim off the unwanted parts. But it's best when you put the wood glue onto the canvas, so that it helps you not to overlap. Now, if we had put the wood glue on the fabric, we would have covered up the part that is supposed to have these other colors.
We previously did take you out through the art class that is going to be coming in with Miss Tourism Southwest contestants. With me again is Mr. Magezi. He's going to be telling us the significance of art, especially in our theme, which is I Am My Culture. How are you, Mr. Magezi?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well done on this class.
Thank you.
Looking at the work that these girls are doing, it's just breathtaking. Yes, so we'd like to understand what's the relevance or the significance of art, or African mosaic, like you did call it, in tourism.
Well, like as you know, art is not all about painting, just art is about storytelling. And today we are telling a story about culture. We are telling a story about southwestern Uganda. Speaking of using fabric to create what we don't have, which is the fabric mosaic that we are working on here. And we chose these animals, the gorilla specifically, since it's more of an animal that symbolizes southwestern Uganda. And these fabrics we are using, most of them, as you can see, they are vitenge, and vitenge are more of fabrics that are significant to southwestern people. As I think you've seen people who do fashion in vitenge and all that. Yeah, so basically it's more of using fabric, but when we go deep into fabric, it's more of using vitenge to create what we want to do to create, which is the gorilla and the lion.
Yes, you talked about art being about storytelling. What is the story behind a gorilla put on a frame that is going to be added onto fabric? What is the picture or the story that you have to tell within such a thing that you're putting up?
Well, a gorilla, as you all know, southwestern Uganda, what brings us out is a gorilla in the world of tourism. And when a person is, let's say, flying in to Uganda, when they are coming straight to southwestern Uganda, they specifically come because they know that we are rich in gorillas. We have plenty of gorillas. It's a home of gorillas. So that's the same reason as to why when you enter Kabale at the roundabout, you see gorillas, sculptures of a gorilla. Yeah, and this is who we are. This is what we share pride in. This is what puts us out there. So I can't, me personally, I can't go out there to, let's say, make a sculpture or something about like a tiger, you know, something like a giraffe, yet we don't have them here. So why we chose a gorilla, it's because it's who we are. that's what signifies southwestern Uganda in a part of
who we
tourism.
are. Yes, it's who we are, and that's just our identity. I did tell you I come from the same area. This is my region and my home district, and we are going to also get to hear from the contestants. What is it that they've managed to learn from this entire experience? That was it from Mr. Magezi. We are getting on to the class, but before we get into that, thanks to Davis as well, we are getting more skills. I'm telling you, today is about skilling, getting just a new hobby. So we'll be hearing from the contestants as well to get to learn about their insights. What did they learn from this class? Like he did say, art is about telling stories. Let's get to hear about one of the contestants' story. Okay, hello.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself and then...
I am Bridget Karunji. I'm one of the contestants for Miss Tourism Southwestern Uganda.
Yes, so please take us through what you managed to learn today in regards to art and the theme.
Yeah, so today we did something that they call fabric mosaic. Us using the different fabrics with the vibrant colors enough that tenje pieces, it's part of our culture. The vitenje symbolize our culture, and then the colors, they fill us with warmth, like they had earlier taught us. Art is therapy, art is storytelling, and I just see your story right now.
You talked about storytelling and you seeing the story. What is your story?
Well, my story from my piece here is something bold, something proud, and that's exactly what we are. We are proud of our culture.
What more can you talk about the people of Southwest? Bold, and that is her story. So stick around as we get into the poetry class that will be coming in the next segment.
Good morning, and once again to you who have been accompanying us since we started off with Good Morning Uganda. And for those of you who have just joined us, a very good morning. It is a Monday, a fresh start to our business people. But first of all, welcome back from Tourism Express that is proudly brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board. Take note that Good Morning Uganda is enthusiastically brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. You need to sip on that Ugandan coffee because it's our nature. Now, we are kicking off with our new week in business after a volatile, conclusion last week. Let's look at what the economic press is having today. And we are commencing with a culture showcase coverage as Uganda's diaspora community in Australia has used the Canberra Multicultural Festival to showcase a culture, strengthen identity, and deepen ties between Uganda and Australia. The annual festival brought together migrant communities from across the world, with Uganda standing out through cultural performances, food, storytelling, and tourism promotion. Let's have a look at the highlights of this festival.
The Canberra Multicultural Festival offers a platform to express identity, build belonging, and strengthen people-to-people connections.
Amazing landscapes. Yeah. The animals, all amazing. Yeah. Massive gorillas, which I've been told I need to meet one day.
Yeah, you need to.
And then I've also been told ladies have massive boom boom. That's my main selling point on trying to get me to Uganda.
Yeah, I've been in Australia for around 20 years. Yeah. One of my best friends is actually from Uganda, from Kampala, so I'm very interested in the country. Unfortunately, I've never been to Uganda.
Uganda's High Commissioner to Australia, Her Excellency Dorothy Samari, described Uganda's participation strengthens social cohesion and bilateral relations.
We are here at a multicultural festival in Canberra. And as a mission, we are participating. We have set up a stall, and we shall be meeting people to people. But in the story, I want the visitors who visit us and the Australians who interact with us to take away from Uganda as a multicultural country. We have different cultures in Uganda, which vary from region to region. For instance, as you move in Uganda, in terms of food, you'll be in position to come across the bamboo shoots, which we call malewa in the east. As you move in the central, you'll be in a position to eat the luwombo.
Tourism officials highlighted the role of cultural exposure in promoting Uganda as a destination for Australian travelers and investors. So, such cultural encounters inspire future tourism and partnerships.
Omuntu ng'ajja mu Uganda abamu bagamba nti tulina ebyobulambuzi 5 naye ate Uganda erina 7 nga nsookera ddala ku bantu b'osanga e Uganda omukwano okwaniriza olw'empisa ze balina kujja kuwa ekifaananyi ekirungi nga wakatuuka. Bannange bw'oba olina ku ssente osobola okujja mu nsi nga zino kiba kirungi nnyo kubanga oba omanya ebintu bingi omuzungu kyeyanisa exposure. Abaganda bagamba atanatambula yatenda nnyina okufumba. Badde mbakubiriza mutambule mulabe ensi bwetambula. Kati nga nze naliko mu United Kingdom nengendako e China kati ndi wano Australia mu Pacific.
The members of the Uganda diaspora say the festival helps younger generations to promote unity within Australia's multicultural society.
Olunaku bwe luti lutugatta ffenna awamu kwegamba naffe ne kituyamba okukwata ekitone kyaffe tukikole ki tukiriisa abantu kwegamba ne tubawaako kasavu kanyama aye nekyala n'okulaba ne culture ne tulaba n'eggulu endala n'ebyobuwangwa eby'abantu abalala ne bino bituzimba so omuntu awangaalira eno kikutukiza ewaka n'olaba ku Uganda warati n'olaba kalo okitegeera.
Bantu Machabe Semambo for UBC.
There at the Multicultural Festival. Now moving on, regarding capacity building efforts, the Hotel Union has started training domestic workers and returnees from the Middle East on their social and economic rights. The training equips returnees with skills which they can utilize and invest to improve their livelihoods. Now, domestic workers are among the most exploited laborers in Uganda, yet many continue to work without contracts, minimum wage protection, or medical cover. Let's have a look at this report.
Solidarity is forever. Solidarity is forever. For the union.
The Uganda Hotels, Food Tourism, Supermarkets and Allied Workers Union offices in Wakaliga, domestic workers and returnees from the Middle East trained to understand their rights and obligations.
Sometimes at work, I face some challenges. So whenever I get a challenge at work, I solve it with my boss amicably. Because Workers Union has been training us how you can handle yourself at work, your obligations, do's and undo's at work.
Uagnda says the HTS handbook provided by Union has helped workers understand their rights, including safety, fair treatment, and the right to be heard.
Everything is there, so it guides us very well, and even it shows the rights of a domestic worker at work. Have a right to eat, have a right to be in a safe environment where he stays. And when he makes a mistake, or she makes a mistake, he have a right to be heard listened to.
However, domestic workers say low pay remains a major challenge, with some earning as little as 40,000 shillings a month.
Let the government sign that there is a document, there is a law which they made some time back, which the government didn't sign. We are requesting the government to sign that law so that whoever works, wherever he works or she works, to get minimum wage. Starting point, a recognized wage. Because some like housemaids around within Kororo, even in Kampala, we have some house girls who are getting 40,000 a month. Some they are getting 80. When that one is signed, at least it will be somehow okay.
Migrant workers returning home say many face contract violations, long working hours and abuse in the Middle East.
We signed a contract that said I have to work for 8 hours, but later on when I reached there, I had to work for 16 hours, which is not fair to me. I was to have an off, but he refused to that. But when I reached there, I had to work in 3 houses.
The sector lacks legal enforcement, harassment and absence of formal protection mechanisms.
For example, a right to have a contract, a right to medical care. Many of these are still lacking, despite the many policies that we have in this country that are yet to be ratified.
The union has introduced skilling programs such as soap making, tailoring and salon training as an alternative source of income.
So we've come up with a skilling program. We want to empower them so that they are able to do something that can bring for them income.
In respect of applied learning, Uganda's education sector is increasingly embracing practical skills alongside academic learning to prepare learners for a dynamic future. Education stakeholders say schools that integrate talent development, digital learning and hands-on training are producing a more confident and innovative pupils. This approach is shaping a new generation equipped with both classroom knowledge and a real-life competency needed to thrive in a rapidly changing world. Here is the report.
Should to come and speak.
First of all, we really guide our children, we inspire them, we motivate them, we guide them into the future. And at the same time, we model them in terms of skills, whereby we have swimming, we have a wonderful swimming pool, we have baking, we have tailoring, we have music. Our children really, you can see some of you have attended how they were drumming. They are the one who were drumming. The younger one, who is in the nursery, who was playing the piano. So we encourage them at a younger age. Even in agriculture, they do brooding, they do pottery rearing, nursery beds, they do all of this. Not forgetting even the ICT. Because we have a computer lab, even we have a mini science lab, we have it all. We don't get any support. In particular, we started around COVID. Government never supported us at all. Instead, we are getting taxation, which is further hitting us down.
We go out of class, and all this is to equip children with soft skills that can even help them survive after school. So much as the academic is important, but there is life beyond academic, and at Muhika, that is exactly what we do. We offer extracurricular activities that will equip children with soft skills, with survival skills, even after school.
We have a lot in stock.
Now it's time to look at your money and how it is doing against the various currencies with our Forex updates. Let's take a look at what price rate the dollar is buying and selling as of 6th February 2026 by Bank of Uganda. Now the dollar bought at 3,553.77 and sold at 3,563.77. By midday, the dollar was at 3,554.36 as the buying rate and sold at 3,564.36. And by close of business, the dollar bought 3,554 and 1,564.36, just like at midday. And the Great British Pound, the dollar bought 4,830.73 and sold at 4,845.39. Whereas the euro bought in at 4,192.01 and sold at 4,204.16. The Kenyan shilling bought at 27.53 and sold at 27.65, slightly higher. The Tanzanian shilling bought at 1.36 and sold at 1.39. And the South African rand bought at 220.26 and sold at 220.92. And that brings us to the end of our business segment. We shall bring you more insights in business throughout the week. But do not forget that entrepreneurs do not fear Mondays, but they build empires with them. Thank you for watching. We're proudly brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. My name is Joan N. Murunji. Coming up is Julie with the agenda. Good morning.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't go low.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo, clearing